Hi there, this is Arakai Moon coming to you with Star Siren Astrology on this incredible new moon in Taurus. This is one of the astrological events where I'm like, I could not even write this stuff up. This is incredible divine choreography by the universe in its exquisite and synchronous nature, and it's perfect timing. The new moon has been coming all year in these really incredible ways to like activate these other planetary transitions that are occurring, just to like usher in the ceremony of like where we are right now. And I feel like that is why I love to do these new moon and full moon videos, is because it's such an incredible way to speak to the grander story of what kind of ceremony we're all in, and how can we touch on those lower octaves, and ultimately how can we open into those higher octaves of what archetypes and what energies we're playing with and we're dancing with this month and this year, and in some cases this decade. This is a beautiful time right now. The moon has been traveling through Aries, passing Uranus in the sky, just as it's making its last degrees in Aries. And people, this is a big deal. Uranus has been traveling through Aries since 2011, and it will finish making its last degrees of the ceremony. We're at the peak of it now. Both the moon, Mercury, and Uranus move over into Taurus. Uranus going into Taurus exact with the new moon May 15th of 2018, and it will be traveling in Taurus until 2025. So it is really, the moon is ushering us in this new ceremony with Uranus, this new ceremony that will last till 2025. And so this is a powerful time of really working out our energy with Aries, finishing up that ceremony. Like, we've been really going through it since 2011. Individual and collective hardcore egoic awakenings happen since Uranus has been in Aries. Uranus is the planet of revelation and revolution. It is breakdown to break through. It is like the Tower card. It's that lightning bolt of inspiration and lightning bolt of trauma and desecration. It will shatter through the form of Capricorn and Saturn. It will shatter through the systems and the foundations and the constructs of the mind and of reality, essentially. And ultimately, to bring that Kundalini energy, it rules the Kundalini, so it rises it up through the cracks in the foundation. It's that shatter, break, and then rise up to this higher, more pioneering and revolutionizing and awakening perspectives, you know, to broaden our perspective and to awaken our consciousness. And so when it moves into a sign, it stays there for 7 to 9 years, and then it works on us. It starts breaking up the foundation. So with Uranus and Aries, it's been breaking up our ideas and our concepts of our ego and who we are and why we're here and where we're going and how we're meant to get there, and what have we been saying yes to and who have we been saying yes to, and how do we free ourselves and liberate ourselves to like truly moving in the direction of our path and to expand and actualize ourself and our divine nature. You know, Aries rules the fire and it rules instincts. So that's why it's like that pioneer and adventure. It's moving to the tip top of that mountaintop, you know, and it's like, I don't care if anyone's coming. Like, Aries isn't like Leo. It doesn't need to be seen. It doesn't need to be adored and respected and followed. Aries is like, I'm breaking free. Don't tell me what you know, the ways that you've been doing it before, because I'm doing it my own way. And it's also like, I don't care what the other needs and what the group always needs, and I don't care what the family needs, and I don't care what my partner always needs, and who I'm meant to be by the lens and the filters of society and of family. But instead, I need to be me, and I need to find out who it is. It's the baby. It's like this spark of creation, and like it goes, and it's like, I'm going forth and I'm going to become something greater, and it's like clumsy and it's really humbling, because it's like brash and it thinks it knows and it confronts and it fights, you know, it's a rebel, so it like really fights, and it like can be selfish sometimes, you know. It's like, this is me, this is mine, this is what I want, these are my desires. And you know, sometimes we really need to keep that in check, you know, that ego in check of like, is what we want, is what we're fighting for, is that simply burning bridges? Is it simply fighting and like being ego filling and feeding and thriving? Or is that ego also in check with our spirits, you know? And that's what I think that the power of Uranus has been in Aries, is like breaking us down of who we thought we were, of what we thought we wanted to be and where we thought we were going, who we've given our power to, and bringing it back into ourselves, like awakening us back into our instinctual nature and our fire. And how does it feel when we move in the direction of our own flame and our fire, and how do we know how to tend that instead of losing it every time we get into the collective and every time we get into a relationship? We lose that independence and that freedom and that drum, that pulse of our own beat, you know. And Uranus, I feel like, is this power of like seeing and bringing that to its highest octave. You know, how do we bring this very like instinctual, very physical, very egoic archetype of Aries, and how do we bring it and raise it to its higher octave? How do we open it up to being transformed and have Kundalini and a higher consciousness surge through that physicality, surge through that egoic sense, and open to a new way of being that is truly in alignment, that is on a fucking mission from God, you know? And yeah, I think that it's been incredibly humbling and breaking down time of our ego and our passions and desires. This time going into the new moon gives us this opportunity to work out what have we been revealed, what have the major egoic deaths in our lives since 2011, and the revelations and that torch of inspiration and fire and freedom and passion and mission been, and how do we start to ground this energy, because now it's moving into Taurus. You know, it's moving into this energy that allows us to ground this energy. It allows us to build upon it. It allows us to become in, you know, right relationship with our ego, hopefully, because this is also an egoic sign. It's a very physical sign as well. And so really touching in these times, allowing this very core aspect of our sense of security and our value system, our sexuality, our ego, our finances, to be kind of lifted up to spirit, to the light of Uranus, and ask, like, is this in alignment? Is this body, this temple, this garden that I've been building, is it truly allowing spirit to come through and move into this physical form and revolutionize the way I live inside of my body, revolutionize the way I am with my finances, the way I am inside of my home, inside of my partnerships, the way I express and embody my own sense of self-worth and value. Like Uranus and Taurus is like revolutionizing and breaking down, breaking us through of our own patterns of worthlessness and shining a light to that which we value, you know? Really allowing Uranus can be this penetrating, exposing X-ray vision, lightning bolt light that moves through and really confronts and shakes it up of what we've been maybe saying we value, and yet maybe what we've been doing by the way that we spend our money, by the way that we spend our time, by what we're feeding and growing in our life, and like showing us really how can we truly allow that to represent our highest octave of self. Like connecting to our highest octave and keeping that in check with our ego, keeping that in check, bringing that into alignment with our desires and our passions and our actions, you know. And this is a really incredible time, I think, right now, to just be mindful of the desire to rebel, the desire to disassociate and escape and burn bridges, lash out in shame and blame and anger, because Aries is a volatile energy. When it's held down, when it feels shamed or tied down by potentially its own, worthiness and shame issues, it can blame, it can really lash out on the other, it can really rebel and break free of the systems or the external authority. And all of this right here is squaring Mars and Capricorn. And so this Capricorn energy is like, these are the rules, this is the authority, these are the foundations that have been in place, this is what we need to grow, we need to work, we need to be of responsibility and duty. This is also the external authorities of religion and government that has been imposing these systems of shame upon us, that has been tying our fire and wrapping it around its hooks for a long time, for thousands of years. And so this is really a time of like bring your Aries into this like ninja, into this like really quiet, receptive, and then serpent-like action. This ability to really move your energy and really allow these potential timelines, these decisions that haven't been made, these loose ends, to like really cut them. Make sure the bridges that you are burning or the cords that you are cutting are truly that you need to let go of. And when we move into this new moon on Monday, it's the time to really like step into the commitments and to the relationships that we're truly here to feed, and really truly tend and water and work at it. This is like, Taurus is a marriage. It's a commitment to the earth, to our bodies, and to our relationships, to all that we are really growing, and ultimately ourselves. Like, Taurus is this unconditional love, this unconditional receptivity of like, I know my value, I know my self-worth. And so really coming to terms with, have we been fighting? Have we been confronting and arguing and shaming and blaming and fighting for that self-worth because it's still outside of ourselves, because we're still grappling for it, we're still needing to fight for it and blame and push away from and cut, that comes from somebody that's not free. It's still fighting for their freedom. It comes from something that doesn't feel truly intrinsically valuable. So this is a time to like call those egoic patterns into accountability and into your awareness, and asking for grace that we may have these sudden bursts of insight, instead of going crazy, because Uranus and Mercury conjuncting each other can really be this extreme mental chaos and confusion as well, sudden insights, but also sudden breakdowns in the mind and psychosis and delusions and disillusionment. And so really like allowing these things to like, don't hold on so tight to these constructs, don't hold on so tight to them, to your own desires and your own like need to fight for them, your own needs, and that privilege of feeling like that we have the right to fight for our egoic, simple wants and desires, but instead like really knowing what it is that we truly want and need, who we are, like healing those wounds of our ego and why we're here, and remembering, it was like, remember, we are the ones we've been waiting for, wait no more. Like, when did that saying first come into our consciousness? It's like 2010, 2011, it's like, remember who you are, why you're here, and really bring that fire back into your life and allow that inspiration of Uranus to like come through in a way that liberates and feeds and empowers. The breaking down has happened. The breaking down is still happening, but we can also reach for that breakthrough. We can also really start to devote ourselves to opening to that intrinsic self-value and worth of Taurus, and come into a relationship with your fire, your body, and ultimately this beautiful, exquisite earth that we are in union with. Thank you and blessings.